Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Analysis for UPSC 2025. It is 30th July today and we are going to discuss these 8 articles which are most relevant for your preparation. Before we start our discussion here, I would like to introduce this channel to you guys. Every day on this channel we upload two videos. In the first one, we discuss the current affairs, the most relevant articles for you. We try to break them into the simplest language possible, so that you can grab the most information from that and take the most information which is important for your preparation. And in the evening session, we upload another video in which we discuss the daily quiz. In the daily quiz session, we discuss questions related to the current affairs so that it will give you an idea how the questions could be asked from the current affairs and also help you revise your current affairs. And we discuss few previous year questions also so that it will give you a brief idea how the questions used to come in the exam and help you prepare your previous year questions. Now, without any delay, I would first like to request you guys, please do subscribe the channel and share it with your friends. Usually what students do when we watch any new YouTube channel, any new video on the YouTube, we only just click on that. We don't listen to it because we have that trust issues with any other platform. So I would like to request you guys, please do stay with me. Maybe I would be able to explain these topics in a way that would be understand that will make you understand these topics in a very uh, beautiful way, and maybe I can make these articles very simple for you. And also, don't look at the way I introduce myself or this everything here. Usually people fumble while introducing. So I will request you guys, please do stay with me till the end of this video. Try to trust me. I will definitely try to make this video very easy for you and very understandable for you. So with this, I would like to request you again, please do subscribe the channel and share it with your friends. Now, without any delay, let's see what are the articles which we have to discuss today. The first one is about the state's taxation on mining activities. We already discussed it a few days before. We discussed it with respect to the seventh schedule. We discussed it with respect to the entries there, and we discussed it with respect to the recent judgment. In today's discussion, we will take a deeper look into it. We will see different judgments, how it evolved, and what is the final judgment of the Supreme Court. We will discuss it in little deep and try to get the most information from this article. In the second one, we have the problems with India blocking Chinese companies. After the recent Galwan war, I can say that how India blocked the Chinese, Chinese FDI. There were many restrictions on that, and many companies of Chinese were blocked, banned in India. Many apps were banned, and it is with respect to that how it can cause problem to Indian economy, and how by allowing FDI from China and by interacting with the Chinese companies can impact the Indian economy. Now, then the third article, it is related to the delay in census. Why is it important to have census right now? We will discuss it with respect to the reservation bill recently brought out for women. We will discuss it with respect to the reforms brought out by the government, why it is very much important right now to get this census done. After that, we will discuss about the center likely to complain ILO, likely to move to ILO and complain against its employment report, which it gave in the March about Indian employment. So center was not very much happy with that, as center said it is very much मतलब कि इसमें बहुत सारी ऐसी बातें which are fabricated against India, against Indian policies, and so center is likely to move to ILO and complain against its employment report. In the fifth article, we will discuss about the week-long Lok Adalat drive conducted by the Supreme Court, how Supreme Court wants to reduce the case burden, and how they will try to solve minimum of 6,000 cases in this week. After that, we will discuss the problems associated with the Project Tiger and how it has impacted the tribal population there. Finally, we will discuss about, then after that we will discuss about the 10 bagless days proposed by the NCRT, and in the last we will discuss about the Supreme Court's refusal to stay Patna High Court's ruling on Bihar reservation. Now, without any delay, start our first discussion. It is about the can state tax mining activities. We discussed about it. We discussed it with respect to the Schedule 7 in the Indian Constitution. In this we have entry 49 and 50. What entry 49 is related to? It is related to the taxes on lands and buildings. And entry 50, it is related to the taxes on mineral rights subject to any limitations imposed by Parliament by law relating to it. So these two entries in the state list, entry 49 and 50, are very important with respect to today's discussion. Then also we have the entry 54, which is in the central list. By the help of this entry 54 in central list, the center brought up the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957. And in this Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957, we have section 9 of the section 9. The section 9, by this section 9, the center had introduced royalties, imposed royalties on the companies. So this was little factual information which you needed here. And also, to understand this article little deeper, I will give an example of an intellectual property right and royalty. I will try to understand what the royalty here, what does it mean, and how the Supreme Court judgment has given this definition of royalty in different cases. Usually क्या होता है, if you have any asset, for example you have something you had created and you have intellectual property right over that, and you let it to be used by some company, and that company pays royalty to you. You have a agreement on that. For example, you had created some music, and some platform it shares some bigger platform, it shares it with the people, so that bigger platform will give you the royalties for that. So there is a proper agreement between you and that platform. So this agreement is जो ये agreement रहता है, on this agreement, on this basis the royalty is given. Now the question here was, what if there is the property which you have, it is land, and the asset you have is the piece of land where mining can be conducted, and can then state own, and state owns it. So it gives it to company. Now the question here is, will company can state can state ask for the royalty? Will company give the royalty to the state, and how it would be dealt with? So with this respect, we have a question here: is royalty a tax or a charge? The question here is in this discussion, that is royalty a tax or it is a charge? As we understood, in our discussion, for example, we took an example of that intellectual property right. We took an example of any song which you had created. So in that, by simple definition, royalty is something different. But here we have to discuss it with respect to the cases. For example, the case of state of Tamil Nadu versus India Cement case. In this, the state of Tamil Nadu, it imposes cess on the company. They were applicable on all the money granted by it, including the royalties. This went to the Tamil Nadu High Court. They did not want to give this royalty, did not want to pay this taxes to the Tamil Nadu government. So they went to the High Court, and what did the Tamil Nadu High Court said? It said that royalties are the taxes. The royalties they are paying under the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957 to the center. So they say that the royalties are the taxes in state of Tamil Nadu versus India Cement case. Then as center has all now, then further what High Court said in this case, that as center has already taken royalties under Section 9 of Minerals and Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957, so Tamil Nadu government cannot impose this royalty on the India Cement Company. So with this, the Supreme Court defined that the royalty is tax. Then there was another case with respect to the West Bengal versus Kesoram Industries. It also went to the Supreme Court. In this, it was the five judge bench of the Supreme Court. It said that royalty is tax. Royalty, it changed, as in the Tamil Nadu versus India Cement case. We saw that in this case the High Court said that royalty is tax. In the state of West Bengal versus Kesoram Industries, it changed its tune. It said that it changed its tune from royalty is tax to cess on royalty is a tax. So basically, it tried to overturn the earlier judgment. Then we have in 2013 we have another case. It is related to the Mineral Area Development Authority case. Recently it is judgment was given. In this, the Supreme Court defined. The Supreme Court categorically said that royalty is not a tax. There is a fundamental difference between royalty and a tax. A tax is something which is charged by the government on any company which they have to pay, and royalty is an agreement between two officials, between two partners. So there is a clear difference between royalty and tax. It was the Minerals Area Development Authority case 2011 whose judgment was recently given. It defined that royalty is not a tax, and also it said that the states can collect tax on mines according to the entry 49, which basically talks about the taxes on land and building, and also entry 50, which talks about the taxes on mineral rights subject to any limitation imposed by the parliament. But in against to this, the in against to this, the center gave its argument that in the section 50 there is a limitation which can be given by the parliament, and also under the section 54 we have Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957. So according to that, this state cannot collect the taxes. But Supreme Court said that there is no provision of the minerals and mines, minerals and mines and minerals, mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957. There is no such provision which prohibits states to collect the tax. And also, we in entry 49 and 50, it is clearly said that states can collect taxes, so states can collect taxes. There is no issue. Now it is said that the center is going to amend this Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957, and they will bring up some provisions in it in which will restrict the states from collecting the taxes. So despite if they will bring such laws in the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957, but still the states have the right to collect the taxes. And also further, what are the concerns, in this in the Minerals Area Development Authority case 2011, the judge, it was 9 judge bench. In it, 8:1 ratio judgment was given. It favored that the states can go for taxation, and one judge who was alone, whose name is Justin something N Nagaratna, he was opposing that the states cannot go for the taxation, because he pointed out some of the concerns with respect to the states going for the taxation of mines and of the mines. So what are the concerns? He said that Supreme Court cannot, in the earlier judgment in which West Bengal and West Bengal versus Kesoram Industries, it cannot overturn the earlier judgment in the state of Tamil Nadu versus India Cement case, because in the state of Tamil Nadu versus India Cement case it was 7 judge bench, and in the state of West Bengal and versus Kesoram Industries it was only 5 judge bench, so it cannot overturn it. Second, it will have this if the states are allowed to implement these taxations, it will have longer term economic impacts. It will lead to double taxation. For example, like states centers will have the royalties and states will collect the taxes, so it will lead to the double taxation. And also it will bring up the competition between the states, as many states may opt to lower taxation and others will opt for higher taxation, and it will bring the competition between the states. And also it will raise the market prices of the products of these companies, which will definitely impact the market economy of the country. It will lead to the inflation and it will definitely impact the common people. So these are some concerns which were highlighted by the only judge who was opposing this judgment. So let's recap what we discussed in this article. We have let's try to get it into few simpler lines. We have schedule 7. In it we have entry 49 and 50 in the state list, which basically we can say shows the control of state over the which basically shows the control of state over the taxes on land and building, and also taxes on mineral rights. Then we have entry 54 in central list, which by this entry 54 the center came up with the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957. It basically allowed the center to get royalties from the mining companies. We discussed then we defined what the royalty is. It was necessary to define what the royalty is and what taxes are. There were different judgments. For example, in the state of Tamil Nadu versus India Cement case, it said that royalty is tax. In the state of West Bengal versus Gosaram case, it said that the cess on royalty is tax. And finally, in the Mineral Area Development Authority case, it said royalty and taxes are totally different, because tax is something charged by the government and royalty is something because of the agreement between two parties. So there is a huge difference between royalty and the tax. And further we discussed about the judgment that in the Mineral Area Development Authority case 2011, the judgment was given that the states can collect the taxes on minus, and it was 8-1 judgment. Then we saw the concerns raised by the only judge who was against it. He gave his concerns related to the judgment related to states can collect taxes on mines. And what were his concerns? It will have longer term economic impacts, it will lead to the double taxation, it will finally lead to the inflation. With this we will move towards the next article of today's session. It talks about the problems with India blocking Chinese companies. We have to discuss it into 3 different ways. First, we should know that the relation between India and US right now is going very good. Our relationship is improving very much. We have different trade tariffs. It is not that much difficult for us to trade with the US. It is somehow easy, and there are not that much tariffs on the products formed in India. Then the another relationship which we should understand is between India and China. The India and China relationship is something volatile. Sometimes it is very good, sometimes it is very bad. Recently we had seen Galwan attacks. After that the relationship between India and China has seen a down turn. We had seen this relationship in trade has seen a down dip, that many companies of the Chinese were blocked in India, many apps were blocked, and also the FDI was checked because of the reforms brought up by the Indian government. If our country is sharing any border with our neighboring country, then we cannot they cannot directly invest in FDI without any approval. They have to take the approval before investing in the FDI. So these were the issues. Then the third relationship which we have to understand is between China and US. This relationship is very tricky, because we had seen from the times of Donald Trump there were trade wars going on, and even the Joe Biden has extended those trade wars. There are high tariffs on the Chinese products. So for the China to trade with the US is not that much easy. So with respect to that, let's come to our basic topic, which is, please remember these 3 terms first: relationship between India and US, India and China and US. It would be very much important for you to understand the core of this discussion. Now coming to the topic which we have discussed is about the problems with India blocking Chinese companies. After the Galwan attacks and recent reforms brought by the by reforms brought by the India in, for example, in FDI and also in visas, it make very much difficult for Chinese people to visit India. Especially, when we get any, for example, we have to make any product. For that, we get machineries. Usually, those machineries are from China. So, to operate those machineries, we need the exports from the China, and the visa issue, the problems with the, if there are problems with visas, there would be delay from the China, there would be the delay from the exports from the China to India, and there would be delay of operation of those machineries, and finally it will impact the company who had invested in it. We had seen that we had brought up PLA schemes, and they had invested in these machineries, they had brought up these machineries, but unfortunately we are not able to operate them because of our visa issues. After the Galwan attack, after the Galwan thing happened, because of that we had restricted Chinese visas, because we are able trying to secure our country. For that, we don't want to have unnecessary people entering our country, which can which can harm our country, which can have a bad impact on our people. So with respect to that, we have these issues, we had brought up these issues, visa issues, and we had the FDI investment, which we brought up the reform in that. So here the concern is raised by the companies that they had brought up the machineries and they are getting delayed, and because of that they are not getting the profit which they should had earned. So it has definitely affected the investments in PLI. So it gets the impacted. Now the basic problem here is lots of imports are from China. When the imports are from China, it leads to the trade deficit. It has its own effects on the economy. And further, अगर हम देखेंगे, now the question arises here, why there is so much, why we are not able to create these machineries? What is the problem here? Why do we depend so much on the imports from the China? Now the real answer to this is the education system. The article here says the real answer to this is the education standards followed by India and China. If we would compare the education standards followed by India and China, we could see that 80% of children in China have right amount of skill set. In India, while as in India, only 15% of students have the right amount of skill set. And also it is said that it is said that today's children are tomorrow's workers. So right education is needed for them, right skilling is needed for that. Education standards are much higher as compared to India and China. For example, there is an exam which is named Program for International Students Assessment. In this exam, it is one of the toughest exam held internationally, and in this exam, large number of Chinese students qualify as compared to India. Even it is said that India does not even participate in it. So we also saw that how 85% of the children have right amount of skill set in, while as in India we have only 15%. So this is one of the main concern for that much dependence on imports, that much dependence on the manufacturing, that we are not able to manufacture by itself, is the education setup, the education mentality. And also, so now the here question arises, why do we need this? Why do we need this? Because we had invested a lot of money, PLI schemes had invested a lot of money in manufacturing. We had brought up the machines and we are not operating it. So it is better to have the better relationship with the China, so we can get the expertise from the China who can operate our machineries. And also, if we would see another angle to it, the trade war between the US and China, the high tariffs on the Chinese product, China is not able to trade with the US that much. So we can have the joint venture, international joint venture with the Chinese companies, so that they can we had already got approval for the joint venture in one of the companies with China. Because of this, what will happen, that India, the production of that machinery or that product will happen in India itself, and the expertise and the finances would be provided by the China. How does it impact both the countries? As our trade relationships with the US is very good, we don't have that much tariff on our products. They don't impose that much tariffs on our products. We can easily trade with the US, and with this, the Chinese, their finances and the development, they have the part in the development in the production of that machinery. And if they would have gone by their own route, it would have huge tariff. If they will go via India, then their tariffs will be reduced and they will save a lot of money. And how it will impact the India? It will be able to attract more FDI, and also then finally it will contribute to the GDP of the country, and it will help in increasing the GDP of the country. So this was in nutshell about the India China relationship, how blocking Chinese companies had impacted India because of the operational issues of the machineries, our import dependency on the China, and how uh, by having a joint venture with Chinese company can impact Indian economy and as well as Chinese economy. So with this we conclude this topic. Let us see what the next is. It talks about the delay in census. About the census, we should know the first census was brought out in 1862. It was the first census. In 1871, first full census was brought out, and after 1871, every decade we have been conducting census. So it will, now the question is now, and the recent census which was conducted was in 2011. But after 2011 there has been no census. The supposed time for the next census was 2021, but due to pandemic, due to COVID-19, the government of India, they delayed the conduct of the census. So after 2011 there has been no census till now. So the question here is, why do we require this census? What is the need for why do we need census? Why census is required? To answer this question we should know, this question has a very deep meaning in it. Why do we require census? मतलब census हमें क्यों चाहिए? If only we have the census, we have the proper knowledge of the number of people in our country, we have the proper knowledge of the households in our country. So when we will frame any policy, we will know how many people are have what how many people we have, what is the requirement of those people. So this will definitely impact this will definitely impact the quality of the policy. The policies framed by the government will and the quality of the policies framed by the government will become more better. Post 2011 no population census has been done. It has hindered efficiency of the various policies. For example, recently we had brought the government of India had brought out the 33% reservation act for women in Lok Sabha, and to implement this we need to have the we have to do the delimitation, and to do the delimitation we have to conduct this census. Then only we can implement this reservation act 33% reservation act for the women. So this is also one of the need to bring the census. Then another need, we can say that various reforms were implemented by the government of India. For example, National Food Security Act. In this 81 crore people are provided a free ration of 5 kg, but this 81 crore people who are taken are, it is this National Food Security Act is with respect to the 2011 census. From the 2011 the data has changed, the population has changed, so we don't have the proper proper policy how much people do need this free ration. So to solve these issues we need the census. And also we have seen the government of India has notified the 16th finance commission. For the sub-finance commission it will have both vertical and horizontal devolution. For the horizontal devolution, for this you need to know the population, so the funds will be divided efficiently. we need to know how many states, we need to know the population of the states. With respect to that, the funds would be given. So for this also, for the 16th Finance Commission also, we need the census. And there are many other policies brought up by the government for whose sake we need to have this census. In simpler terms, the census is required for the quality implementation of the policies. If we have the recent census, we have the proper knowledge of the people, we have the proper knowledge of the households, so the policies which we make will have the quality impact on the people. So with this, we'll move to the next article. It talks about the center likely to move ILO against its employment report. We had seen in March, International Labour Organization, it came out with its report. It showed the concerns related to the employment. It shows the concerns related to the employment. It mentioned that the proportion of working age population has increased in India because of the demographic dividend which the India is enjoying right now. It also said that 7 to 8 million youth join labor force every year. In this 7 to 8 million youth, we have the educated, uneducated, skilled, high skilled, unskilled people, all that are included. And it also found one thing, that the educated youth among the unemployment in our country is very high as compared to the uneducated youth. So what does it simply say? That the more the education you have, more unemployment is in our country. But the government of India argued that this data is not trustworthy. There are some serious issues with it, and with respect to that, this government is planning to send its representatives to ILO, who will approach ILO and raise the concerns with them. So this was in a nutshell about this article. Now moving forward, next one, it talks about SC begins week-long Lok Adalat drive. The Supreme Court of India has been criticized multiple times for the high pendency of cases. It is said that more than 80,000 cases are pending in the Supreme Court, and if we would compare it to the December 2009, in December 2023, more than 80,000 cases are pending. And if we will compare it to the December 2019, we could see that in the last 4 years, the number of pending cases had increased to the 35%. We also know that the Supreme Court had celebrated last year the 75th year of its establishment back in 1950. 28th Jan, it was brought out. The Supreme Court was formed. It was for earlier, before 1950, we had the Federal Court, and it was changed to the Supreme Court in 1950. Now, with respect to that, with respect to the pendency of the cases, the Supreme Court has brought out the week-long Lok Adalat drive. In this, the Supreme Court will solve 6,700 cases, not 6,500, 6,700 cases in this week itself. First 7 benches afternoon, they will sit afternoon, wearing wearing casual dresses. It is not formal sitting, it would be the informal sitting, and they will try to solve these cases. And these in this drive, these cases, the order cannot be appealed in a Lok Adalat, in any Adalat. The orders from the Lok Adalat cannot be appealed. It is the time saving practice, and it will be the cost effective for the people. So it was about the SC, how they begin week long Lok Adalat drive. Now forward to the another topic of today's discussion. It talks about the Project Tiger will dispose 5.5 lakh people. 29th July, International Tiger Day. It was brought out in 1973. Project Tiger was brought out. Because of this Project Tiger, the number of tigers has increased to 3,682. Tiger reserves had increased from 9 reserves to the 54 tiger reserves right now. But here we have there is a group, analysis group, namely Rights and Risks Analysis Group. It came out with the report. It said that because of these reserves, the tribals had been affected the most. They had lost their whom, and the it has highlighted that the Project Tiger had an impact on tribals, and it showed it by an headline that tribals get out and tourists get in. According to the report, 55 reserves are there, but according to the PIB, there are 54 reserves only. Also, report maintains that with the implementation of provisions of Project Tiger, lot of indigenous people had had been asked to move out from their land. Number of people who got displaced has already increased. Before 2021, we had 2.5 lakh people vacated. After 2021, per reserve we had 48,000 people had been vacated. So it's, if we convert it into the percentage, 960% increase in the last few years that the people had been vacated in the every reserve. So it has some devastating effect on the tribals. So there is a need for the relocation of those tribals, and look into this matter very carefully. Moving to the another article, it talks about the NCERT proposes 10 bagless days for the class 6th to 8th. Why does it propose this? Because we have seen the students, they have the book knowledge, they are very bookish in nature, they have everything, but they lack the social skills, they lack the market skills, they don't have any knowledge about how market is working, how people are earning their livelihood, what is happening, how laborers are working, what are their problems. They don't have this. So with respect to that, the national education policy of 2020 provided it, and the NCERT has proposed this 10 days bagless days. In this, what will happen, the students will be taken out, they will interact with the market people, they will interact with the local businessmen, they will interact with the higher, they may go to the higher schools in their district and interact with the students, they may interact with the laborers and see how things are done and improve their social and market skills. About these NCERT 10 bagless days, it is said that it is better to have these 10 bagless days into 2 or 3 groups. For example, पहले 2-3 दिन continuous 10 bagless day हो, फिर कुछ 2-3 मंथ के बाद और 2-3 दिन ऐसे हो, और फिर 2-3 मंथ के बाद और 2-3 दिन ऐसे हो. Actually in a year you should have 10 bagless days. In मतलब एक year में ये 10 bagless day they have to follow, the schools have to follow. This was about this. Now moving to the last article, it talks about the SC refuses to stay High Court ruling quashing 65% quota in Bihar. Recently we saw that Bihar conducted this survey, and they passed the reservation bill which increased the reservation from 50% to 67%. So some petitioners did not like it, and they went to the High Court, and the High Court, it strongly struck it down. It did not like the amendments changes from say 50% to 67% reservation, as it was against Article 14, Article 15 and Article 16, and also was against the Supreme Court ruling, the Indira Sahni case, in which they have to limit it to the 50%. As High Court struck it down, struck this bill down, but the state went to the Supreme Court. This case went to the Supreme Court. What did Supreme Court said? Supreme Court did not stay the Patna High Court ruling. They did not state the ruling of the Patna High Court. This bill remains cancelled. We can say this bill the decision of this bill remains what the High Court of Patna said. But further, the discussion would on this decision of the Bihar, on this bill of the Bihar government, the discussion will start from the September. And with respect that it is said that the Bihar government has approached PM Modi that it is better to introduce to get this bill into the Schedule 9, so that it will have some immunity against the Supreme Court. It will give rise to the another drama, as right now we have the coalition government and the Bihar government is basically supporting the central government. So let us see what will happen in the future with respect to this bill, and let us see how the Supreme Court will deal with the reservation. There is much more to come with respect to this. We will discuss this definitely in our future classes. With this, we conclude today's discussion. I hope you would like the video. I hope you will share it with your friends. And I hope you will write in the comments if any change I need to bring in my teaching style. And also, please do join me. Please do join me in the evening session where we will discuss the daily quiz. That is, for me, that is the most important video for you guys, because it will give you an idea how the questions would be framed from the current affairs, and how previous year questions can be solved, how you can solve the questions asked by the UPSC, what are the different methods by which you can solve. And personally, if I was you, I would every day I will note all those questions which we discuss in the evening session, and make and collect those questions, make a question book from that, and I'm very much pretty sure that it would definitely help you in your next exam. With this, we will conclude our today's discussion. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much.